lumbar support, they squeak and make noise.
They're slippery.
Yeah. You can't stay sitting up and then it makes noise when you try to adjust, which is wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks. And there's a pen also.
Thank you.
David, I started responding to your text twice and never finished this time. Sorry.
Thank you. Ready?
Ready?
Good.
Okay. Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Draper Tree Committee meeting for April 7th. Those in attendance are myself, David Cloward.
Oh, I'm Gentry White. Laura Balker.
David Zwicky. Taylor Parker.
Marianne Pickering.
Brent Williams.
Jocelyn Kessler.
Chris McGraw.
Michelle Coker.
Brent Johnson.
Okay, thanks. The first order of business, as always, is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. We've had a chance to review that. If there's any questions or concerns? No?
I motion to approve.
Great, thank you. All right, it's approved. Taylor, I did not put on here agenda item for us to put forward a name and approve them to be taking notes, whatever we want to call that position.
Okay.
Can we do that?
If it's by motion, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying as long as it's not on the agenda. So I put that out to the group, and we've had a response from Josie Tabor, said that she would like to do that. She's not here today, but she will be here next month. So we would put that forward, and all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, thanks. So she'll start taking the notes starting next month. And then for the agenda items, what we've been doing in the past is the committee has just put forward different things. We had a section for the city that put forward any items that they had, like Dylan. And then the rest of the agenda items were just basically generated by what the tree committee thought we should be trying to do. But they really were based on, either projects we had or desires we had, things from the past. We wanted to make sure that they matched with the duties that we actually have as a tree committee. So if you remember last month, Rhett ran through those quickly. Michelle and I also went through them together and looked to see how we're really doing against those duties and see if our actions and efforts align with those. And then we met with Brian and went through those together as well, talked and gave ourselves kind of a grade on, how we were doing different ones. So we thought we'd drive the agenda that way. At least we'll try that, and if it doesn't work great, we'll try something else, but we'll try that for now. So the first tree committee duty was listed there. It's A, B, and A and B are together in the first one. So a plan for inventory of existing trees and then plans for various public areas. So plan for inventory of existing trees. We've talked about that in the past, but it just hasn't, Taylor, been a thing that has had prior resources and budget, right? Which has meant that it was a priority. So that's something we're supposed to be doing as a tree committee. Is that something that we should be doing as a tree committee, or is it just in concert with the new arborist, or what are your thoughts, Bryn or Taylor, to kind of give us direction in that area?
I mean, we have a tree inventory. We talked about it a little bit before. It's a little bit out of date since we haven't had anybody maintaining it.
Right.
I attempted to pull it up today and I locked myself out. So I was going to show you guys what it was, and I have the password saved in my office and just tried to log in here and got locked out. So once I get access again, I can go over that with you. But essentially it just has a mark of where existing trees are. When you click on it, it has all the information about the tree, the species, the size, the health condition, slot for the arborist to put notes, as well as like what he did, what it needs, stuff like that on it. We have marks on there for where trees have been and have been removed, and so like a spot available for planting, so we can track what the needs are at each park that way.
You just addressed what I was going to, sorry to jump in, but what I was going to say is we probably should talk about what is the objective, right, of doing this? What's the purpose? It doesn't do any good to just have a check mark item that we're doing this function if ends up being just a administrative task that takes a lot of time, right?
Right.
So from what you just described, for me, one of the most important things is to hear that where are spots where we need to plant, trees that need to be replaced, or maybe have particular issues. But opening to the group, is this something that's important? Because one of the purposes of discussing the duties in this way is that City Council said, let's go back and take a fresh look at each committee's duties. And so if there's ever a time for us to say, that's not appropriate anymore, or hey, we need to add this is the time probably to do it. So let's put that out there for this one.
My question is, if you're inputting all this data, how is it assisting you in managing your crews to know the scheduling and to keep that proactivity part of it? Does it have that element in it?
It's still new enough that I'm not sure. I haven't gotten that in depth with it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And our former arborist he never got in and actually made any updates to anything he did. I know he pruned over 1,000 trees, but none of them got noted in the inventory.
Right.
So
it wasn't, that's what I would like to know, is it user friendly, and is it helping you guys be proactive, that element, making it easier on you guys?
We're still learning it, so I'm not 100% sure on it yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Alright.
Yeah.
Who would actually really do that? It's on our duty, but the reality is, I don't know if the tree committee can do much for that other than, of course, to make sure that we're talking about the results of it, what we can use it for the other things that are our duties. I think it's probably the tool for that.
Yeah. Is it Logan, right? Logan's.
It was Logan.
Wait.
Logan moved to Provo and is now an arborist for Provo City.
Wow.
The guy we just hired?
Mm-hmm.
I heard you mentioned our former arborist.
Yes.
And
yes,
I hope
thought you were referring to someone else too.
yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
Shoot, okay.
that position is open right now.
Alright.
So that answers my question, so it is something that we would see the arborist driving.
Yep.
Just theoretically, I mean, as I look at trees and the health of many trees, like say at Draper Park when I was there yesterday, there are many that should be replaced, are not healthy, are doing poorly, and will never recover. And that maybe is a note that an arborist needs to make as well. Cause there should be some kind of a plan to replace trees.
Agreed. Make a note here. So, that position's open. I don't know how long it's been open, applications that look promising or?
We've had some applications, we've had some interviews, we have another interview today.
Great.
I have no idea what Logan's, experience was or anything, but is the budget enough that we'll be able to get an experienced arborist?
Hopefully.
That's-
It is open as a Tech 3 position, so it's the highest in the parks.
Say it is.
So, yep.
Oh, that's good.
So, that was the goal with it, was to be able to get an experienced arborist with it, so.
Same as the last time, nothing's
Yep.
changed.
That's true.
Just hopefully get one that sticks this time.
Right.
Yeah. Very much.
Okay. So I guess the result of this conversation, I'd say, is we all think that is then good for us to do plan. We're going to further assess the software. We need to hire an arborist, and then we'll use that as a tool. Correct?
Yes.
Right. When we talk about the inventory of trees, this has been the hot topic, I think the last few months is what is city property, what's not city property. So maybe look to you, Marianne. Because when we talk about street trees, since that is city right of way, I'm assuming that our inventory would include those trees in park strips. Meaning on major thoroughfares anyway, like 13th East, 138, trees that we planted. I'm not talking about residential neighborhoods, but would that be part of the inventory? Do you think, Taylor?
I mean, the only stuff we've done so far is anything that's on city maintained property. So if we don't maintain it, we aren't tracking it.
So if it's a park strip in front of commercial buildings,
That's maintained by the
That's
adjacent property
by
owner.
them,
Yep.
okay,
And that's same with residential too.
okay.
You have to maintain.
Does that answer the question?
I think you're thinking like 13th, where we were instrumental in helping select trees or
Well,
making sure they got planted.
Exactly. I'm thinking it fits into the next tree duty, which is plans for various public areas such as entrances to the city park, main transportation corridors, and others. So the main transportation corridors, that's what that means. It's the park strips along those areas. So it is something that's part of the tree committee duties, and thus it should be that we care about the trees on those main transportation corridors. So we probably need to identify what we mean by the main transportation corridors, but I would think that would be things like 138 South, 13th East, Highland Drive,
Yeah.
123rd South, any of these main places that really reflect, the city.
We'd wanna make sure that those are included in the inventory and the management.
Exactly.
That is what you're saying, yeah, yeah.
So the last
I mean,
arborist
it
didn't do.
seems really kind of silly technicality to say something like, oh, geez, all these trees along, coming in from Sandy into Draper look horrible along 13th East, but that's really not us. But it is. We tell them that we have codes that say they have to plant those trees, they have to take care of those trees, and that we actually planted a lot of those trees, and then to say afterwards, well, technicality means that maybe we aren't really responsible for that. to make sure that it looks beautiful for our city. So it does fit, it does specifically say that in the tree duties. Does anyone recommend we change that? I don't, I wanna keep that. And Taylor, Marianne, did you propose with that change, or you want to keep that in there?
It's gonna be hard to do it street by street. That it's easier if it's the same for everybody, for enforcement, cause enforcement's not gonna know, oh, the city's supposed to be doing this area, and
Yeah.
the residents or the property owners do it here.
I guess it's probably a question for city council, since I think these tree duties, essentially came from there, that we could say, can we define what those main transportation corridors are? What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna take notes and I'll pass everything on and, maybe pass on the note from our meeting managers if we've got those and I'll review.
Okay.
So you're leaning towards like recommending that it expands to, I know that Walgreens has been like a good example, like
Right.
to the park strip in front of Walgreens, which is typically cared for by the property owner, but because it's a main corridor.
Well, see, that's what's ironic. If someone complains, I understand, Marianne, if someone complains about how bad they look, then we go enforce if they actually take care of it. But, and it is one of the main corridors, so we do actually care.
Yes.
We do have responsibility. We are supposed to enforce it. So why wouldn't we just be proactive? The whole idea of the tree, we just talked about with the software and the tree inventory, is to be proactive in making the city's trees a valued asset. And the whole idea of then of that purpose was to say, let's see where we're responsible for it, and main corridors is one of those. So unless city council wants to take that out, then we actually do need to define what main corridors means.
Okay. So that's for city council. Perfect.
And Brandon, it might be helpful to base that on the road classification. That's the easiest way for us to understand it too.
And what does that mean? Like
Arterial, major arterial collector.
Yeah.
That's how
Right.
engineering in our general
Okay.
plan also has all that mapped out. And so that would be the way to tie it together.
Keep the definitions the same for
Yeah.
It would be very difficult for the city arborist to try to maintain an inventory on trees that aren't on stuff that we maintain, cause he's not gonna be going in on
Yeah.
something that's not city maintained and say, hey, let's do an air spade, cause this isn't really compacted.
Right.
Let's do major renovations on this, supposed to be maintained by private property stuff. Like, we've got over 5,000 trees just in city parks,
Yeah,
not even counting
I agree with that.
city maintained park strips. Like, just in city parks, we've got over 5,000 trees.
Makes sense.
Just
I
so
wonder-
you.
Just a little bit.
I wonder if there's, since it's again part of the tree communities, if we can help in that. If we actually just let you did help with the inventory for those 5 main roads or something. I don't know.
You mean for the trees that are not maintained by city?
Right. Because
I
none of the main
agree.
corridors are maintained by the city. That's by definition. So
So
we really have a
I'd
conflict.
say, to me, it makes sense to have on the main corridors, the trees that are maintained by city in city inventory. If there's main corridors, trees that are not maintained by city, like the Walgreens ones, I would say those are not included in our inventory because they're not city property. However, I think it's up to city council to decide, like, do we wanna prioritize the enforcement of property owners maintaining main corridor trees? Like a priority on major arterial or whatever you called it, the classification of these major thoroughfares. Maybe on those streets, we don't necessarily have it in our inventory because our city's not maintaining. However, there's, we supplement by prioritizing the enforcement of private property owners to cover that, cause it's hard. If that enforcement element is not there, I think our city's gonna be spinning our wheels property owners don't care. And once we step in and start like holding their hand and taking care, property owners are gonna step back even further and say, well, the city took care of it, I don't need to. I think it's important to hold them responsible for their property.
A question from the new guy, how does enforcement happen?
Well, it's a complaint basis and it goes through code enforcement, and the Walgreens, it took, 6 months to even contact the right person in Illinois to deal with it.
More specifically, who does the enforcement?
Our code enforcement officer.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Right.
he's complaint basis only.
So I make a complaint and the officer goes in.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that person is covering all code.
Everything,
There's
zoning
only-
violations,
so it's
illegal structures, everything.
And one person for the whole
One
city.
person.
Feels like a lot.
Yeah.
Trees are at the bottom of that list.
Yeah, it feels like a lot.
Not necessarily. I mean, he's helped us a lot with tree ordinance issues as well. It's just, what do we have, 60,000 residents almost now? It takes a lot for one person to take care of.
Yeah. I'm saying to expect them to proactively go and check main arteries and.
No, he's not gonna be like doing it, hey, this is a violation, let me
Right.
stop.
No, but the question is whether an arborist could. I mean, if we're talking like 5, corridors throughout the city.
Our arborist won't have any enforcement authority.
No, arborist in terms of actually looking to see. We gotta step back, I think we always get stuck into the weeds of exactly how and what happened. We need to start with what are our objectives, what are the purpose of having the tree duties in the first place. If the purpose is, why did we put in there for the main corridor, main transportation corridors and others in terms of the beautification? If we actually, that's the goal, is the beautification, but then we say, we actually have no responsibility, we're not gonna do anything proactively, we don't have any power, we don't have any resources, then we need to just take it out, because we're really truly not trying to achieve the objective. Right?
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with enforcement. It's all about
Right.
being aware and documenting or notifying and then letting code enforcement.
Right. The goal is, of the inventory you just said, is to be proactive. So if we're not gonna be proactive in any way, then we really change the duties or change the objectives, and that really sounds wrong to say, well, we're changing duties because we don't really care about the beauty after all. That's the whole objective. So if we're gonna try to beautify the city entrances and city parks and main transportation corridors, if nothing else on any of the tree duties, those are probably the key ones, and that's why they're listed first. And I was worried when I created the agenda, I thought, we're never gonna get past the first 2 items. And that's okay, actually, because I think we don't need to get into codes today. But I think it is important for us to cover these first 2 items and figure out what we really are gonna do and what we need to go back to city council about. And then determine the planting, opportunities from that, since we got to do some planting here before it gets too hot.
It seems to me that we need instruction from city council, right? Cause that's, what is it they want from us? Cause if they want us to do that, then they have to make it possible.
Right, and I would change your word a little bit to say, rather than what they want from us, what do they want for the city?
Right,
And then
right. What's our
we'll
purpose
achieve
for the
that.
city?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it really can turn into, we don't have time or resources, and we don't want them to be doing this, so instead it should always start with, what's the objective, and then how can the tree committee help achieve the objective? And how can we work with the city staff to do that? So I think the action here is for him to go back and let's have a conversation with the city council about, do we still want to beautify the city, and does that include these main corridors? And then get an arborist hired, and we determine what is included in that tree inventory, and we start using budget to replace trees to achieve the objective. Because before we would get budget, it felt like it was like a an exercise to, okay, now let's go figure out where we could possibly plant trees. There's lots of opportunities to plant trees that need to be replaced, instead of still just achieving the objective of having activity. So, let's jump to that then, if we can, here as part of this duty. So, where is it, do you think maybe Taylor and the whole team, we could talk about doing some planting this spring where we can replace trees? So, like you said, there's trees you notice that maybe need to be replaced. It sounds like we cover the budget with Twin Pines, right? And we have the $10,000 from the private citizen. We have $10,000 for this year's budget, and so there's plenty of opportunity. We can actually just identify the trees to be replaced.
An ideal question for an arborist.
Yeah. But
Do you have places you want trees?
So many.
I mean,
So,
we would love
so
a
many
list, wouldn't we?
places.
yeah, but I think what we
were just
to
talking
help-
this morning about like splash pad could probably use 10 to 20 trees. Same issue that Smithfield has though, right? Like nothing
Yeah.
grows at Smithfield that's getting the same water. They may or may not survive. The trees we have coming from Twin Pines handle the secondary water a lot better, so my plan is to put at least a handful over there. We just planted 6 on Carlquist. It could probably use 30 more. But that's not one that a volunteer group could do because it's on the roadway and we're not
Right.
subjecting volunteers to the hazard
Right.
of vehicles.
Right.
That was my next question, was even though we know there's lots of opportunity that you know about, the question is whether or not you have the resources to be able to
Right.
to do the trees.
And even, just look at the one we did last year for Arbor Day. We had 60 people show up and plant 30 trees out there. That took our arborist and trails at least 2 hours of his week every week, inspecting the trees, monitoring those 30 trees, making sure that those stayed alive, which took 2 hours a week, builds up over the year. That it takes a lot of time to maintain what we put in the ground. So we can't just say, hey, we got $20,000 worth of trees, let's go plant them all, this is great.
Right.
Because they'll never survive. So even when we have an arborist, he's gonna have other duties, including pruning, removing the hazard trees, stuff like that. So maintaining the ones that are planted, that are in the ground, will take a good portion of his time, but we gotta be careful about not just saying, hey, well, let's get all these trees planted without an ability to keep them alive. Because we will still, we'll lose a percentage anyways. You always do. But
So is it helpful to physically locate them in clusters? Are they
Yes.
easier to maintain if we
Yes.
were to pick 5 clusters instead of
Yep.
planting a tree everywhere?
So the goal, what we started to put together with Logan, was to, he's got lots of catch up to do from years of never having anybody in the position in an arborist. But essentially, we'd like to break the city into sectors, quadrants, or fifths, or tenths, or something like that. And it's like, hey, every 5 years I'll come in here, I'll I'll prune all these trees again, but I don't have to touch them again for 5 years. So that was the way that we would prune them. It wasn't just hey, we have a 14-foot clearance, let's get it to 14 foot, and we'll be back next year and prune it to 14 foot again. So we started to do it in a way that would start to give us more time to be able to cycle the city, which, we shouldn't be pruning in Draper Park every year, right? That should be we prune in Draper Park every 5 years. That would then give us the time to get more trees planted once we're onto that cycle, but we're still playing from decades of catch up.
Would it help if I volunteered to watch Highland Drive from the arena to Bangerter?
It's not just watching, trees need the supplemental water. They need somebody like, inspecting the whole branch of the tree as well, like everything on it, say, hey, this one's really starting to dry out, maybe we need to look at if the tree's settled, if it's planting to be, the full arborist inspection on every tree, not just a like
Not just
drive
the
by
set
area
lines,
and
yeah.
say, hey, let's look at this. And
Okay.
cause by the time most people will notice and call, it's too late to save it.
Okay.
But I do appreciate it.
I'd be willing to do it.
And it's the getting the supplemental water to it, like you're not gonna drag a hose out there that's and water them, so he's gonna have to come out anyways and water them.
Are most of those areas just irrigated with the sprinkler sprays, like
Yep.
that type of lawn?
Yep. So, I did just purchase some gator bags, but it still has the manpower of going out, filling them up. And then again, you want to have the manpower going out there filling them up because you want to be inspecting the tree, you want to be monitoring how it's doing. It's not just dumping water on it, right? Like if it needs less, we need to be knowing that as well. So it's just
Work.
It's just taking time,
Yeah.
We have somebody to do it. It's just not going to be able to do. Hey, we got these 37 trees. Now we have another $10,000. Let's go get another 37 trees and try to maintain 60 trees for 5 years and continue adding more every year to be monitoring. But
Tree foster parents.
Well, it is a question behind, like, that's what, we've talked about lots of times, whether or not there's a way for us to have, adopt a tree or adopt an area or something like that, for meeting the tree committee or even beyond the tree committee. But it doesn't solve the problem of truly, doing the work once we identify some problems.
So if, I think irrigation is the biggest challenge. In some of these areas, and I don't wanna move too far ahead, but speaking of water conservation, does it make sense to convert some of these areas to bubblers and get rid of the lawn? And then you can like control it more remotely to deep water those trees rather than, we can't just run sprinklers to water the trees. But now if we change the irrigation, you could actually make it appropriate for deep watering, and then would that help, do you think?
in a lot of ways, yes.
Okay.
It's still going to be boots on the ground, right? You're still going to need somebody out there looking at it and monitoring the tree because just putting the water out is not going to solve it.
Does it help though to deliver the water to the tree? Like, does that take away from the labor of someone doing it by hand? I don't even know how.
Not necessarily. Like we'll have a trailer that has a hose on it, and while they're giving supplemental water, they can be inspecting the tree the way that they should be doing every week anyways. So it doesn't take away any of the labor from that. It is just a better way to water the tree.
Okay. So with tree planting, like the takeaway, are we kind of in the same position? Obviously we've kind of taken a step back because we don't have the arborist anymore. So
Like I said, when we get an arborist, spring is a great time to plant. He or she will be out there planting trees. I just don't want to get into the hey, we have all this money to throw at it and then get to where we can't keep up with it. Like we'll be planting trees. We plan on planting trees every year. We just need to be able to do it at a pace that's sustainable.
And when you talk about money too, 30,000 sounds like a lot if we're just simply buying trees, right? But if you actually put it towards the whole project of, if you expanded the project, for example, just to replace the trees going down from the sandy entrance on 13th East to the roundabout, and to remove the sod and to replace with bubblers, that's $100,000. So it's way more than we even have.
Right.
So we can burn through money like crazy if we actually want to do removing sod and replacing with bubblers and putting down mulch, because it's it ends up being like 3 or 4 times the cost. So
You're saying
we-
like putting our budget towards that
We
cost.
could do that if we wanna do a specific area and do it right, and it's actually been, contracted out and
Right.
it's not as much work for you at the time or even going forward, but it takes
Is it easier
3
to
times the
maintain,
budget.
is it easier to,
Exactly.
so that goes back into the goal, is the objective to burn the money or is the objective to
Exactly.
do it right?
Right.
So,
And there's some places where, I think what we did with the disc golf cart, the golf course was doing it right, and when we did the big one we did before that, I think in that area, on the Colino on the other side, I think we did a good job there. There's certain parts where just replacing the trees, I think we doing it right.
right.
So speaking along that line of the project, removing the turf and doing the proper bubblers, if we were to contribute our budget, and then I think we can also get a rebate, the state rebate, because we're removing lawn, maybe in city council budget, we could actually identify an area, to start to do something like that.
Definitely bring that up.
Anything else on that?
I just think we just gotta make sure we define clearly what the next actions are, so we're gonna define what the scope is that we look at, but even if we define that, and we say that we want to make sure that we're being proactive and we want beautification to happen along main corridors. In the meantime, we still gotta identify exactly where we're gonna go plant, this spring.
Right.
And if nothing else, we use the 10,000 we have this year, we lose it, or else we go do what we did at the Current Pines and we, secure future allocation. But for the 10,000 from that private citizen, he wants to see something where it's, hey, I did that, my family paid for that. And so using that just to replace trees is not gonna be the use for that 10,000, I think it's a great use for the other 20,000. But for that 10,000, we need to identify something like in the park. And even if it's Draper Park saying, hey, we're gonna replace these trees, tell them that might be a great opportunity. Or you said in the water park, if we have the right trees that will survive there. So I think that's really what we should talk about right now.
Is that where you would put the money, the donor money?
Which one?
If we were to,
Yeah, if we were to
define.
pick a park type scenario, where do we think that would be the best?
Yeah.
For
Laura suggested Draper Park has some needs for replanting, and then
So,
you
so
mentioned.
did those other 2 parks, just happened to be at Draper Park yesterday.
Okay.
And where would you guys like to see it?
I haven't looked at the water park, but that sounds very exciting because that's a place where you need shade. It's not just, beautification, it's truly functional.
Let's do that. Take a vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. There's people across the street, I used to live as apartments and they would come to kids. They would put
Yeah.
Not really
The-
Right.
The one fear I have with that is with that water, we get the right tree, it is secondary water, so let's make sure we figure out the right tree to put in there, the right handful of trees, so that we don't lose all $10,000 worth of trees, so that he doesn't go, hey, my family. What happened?
It's all dead.
Exactly, like that.
So
That's
maybe
what we
that's
want
too
to.
risky for a donor tree project.
And again, we'll have somebody be able to watch, maintain, and monitor the trees that we haven't had in the past.
Okay.
So I'm not as worried about that, but
And it's not spread out, so
I
it's
want to make sure
concentrated.
we're not trying to put maples out in a.
No,
like, so maybe we try to do a soil sample, see what the soil's like over there to start with, and see if it's even something that's sustainable. Like maybe the trees are dying for a reason, like. So, think before we necessarily decide on that, like, it's a great idea and I think it'd be wonderful, but let's make sure the soil is gonna actually handle it. Cause some of the trees, like especially on the west side, that chlorinated water runs off and runs into the grass over there, so we have like a lot of those I think probably died from chlorine. So, on the east side, the hillside, the water's not getting up there. So that is probably from the fact that it's on a hill and all the water runs off and it doesn't have a chance to, get a bunch up there, but.
Do you guys do the rotator sprinklers?
Those are all on rotors.
Okay.
It's a grass hillside for people to sit and watch the kids, but you're right, there's no
They're
shade.
like the little stream spray sprinklers, right? The low volume ones?
No, it's rotor heads cause it's big open space. I think they're high 20s or high 40s. So.
How is the Arbor Day planting funded? Who pays for that?
We can talk about that next. Hold that thought for a second then. So on this, for that project then, do we want to try to do that or we just need to do a further assessment, do you think, Taylor? And do you want our help with that on the water park?
Yeah, that would be great.
Research in terms of like getting it.
No, in terms of like getting a soil sample and taking a look at the situation and
make a recommendation of what trees could be planted there and could survive. I feel like we've done a lot of the trees we got from Twin Pine are like elm, Zelkova.
All cypress, that's all I can say.
There you go.
All cypress.
Okay.
Same with Smithville.
Same as Smith. Yeah, I think we were saying Zelkova, bald cypress, and
I can't remember anymore either. But I think the bald cypress is a good hardy.
so soil sample.
You guys are the experts, so what do you think?
Okay. I can do the paperwork. I'm not so good with the shovel and clay soil though.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
It's fine. I got shovel skills.
I was trying to dig out a plant in my yard the other day and I'm like kicking it and it's going
So do we wanna meet up there or?
Sure. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
just send out a group email, coordinate that.
Okay. Alright, so Arbor Day. So we asked Laura volunteered to go take a look at it yesterday. So let's look at that and see what Laura speak to that.
So it's definitely hard, yeah, so it's hard to tell because these trees have not leafed out yet. There's a lot, can you tell? That looks like a horse chestnut. It's really not a good
This bud?
picture. Yeah.
I think these are
They horse
ash.
chestnuts over there?
No.
On
I think
the
these
new ones on the, yeah,
Maybe.
right there. I can't tell what they are because they're just budding out. Anyway,
I don't think we did
there's
horse
tons of
chestnut.
trees over there, so I just wanna show you this.
I think those were pretty
From this.
small. I think they were
went
like crab
through
apples or
with
something.
my highlighter and
Yeah.
highlighted
That
all
sounds
the
right.
trees
Is that they're kind
in
of
yellow
crab?
because you
Okay.
can't, they're not leafed out, so it's hard to
Yeah.
tell. There's tons, there's not a place for a tree over there.
Well, we were talking about doing the American elm, which would get very large
Very large.
out here.
Right back in the grass area.
Yeah.
So you have trees on both sides that it will touch or possibly shade.
Turn that into a nice shady grove.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of where I was picturing the elm is where Taylor's
Yeah,
got his
that's about right
marker.
there where the mouse is.
Okay.
So it would be a ways away because again, 60-foot, 70-foot spread.
Right.
We're gonna be at least 35 feet away from
Yeah, exactly.
the actual monument.
Exactly.
So it's there in relation to the monument, tied to America 250,
Yeah.
but not like in the bark over there, cause it's still full.
So, I appreciate that photo because I'm looking at the dry spot in the lawn.
Right on that
Can we
dry
keep a tree
spot.
alive there?
Yes. This is sloped right here, so one, the tech
Yeah, it
is
is
getting much
sloped.
better, but this is sloped down, so this water runoff, we put it right at the bottom of the hill, it'll start collecting a lot of that water.
How much space is there? I mean, if I had it to scale, I'd draw a tree and we'd see, but I don't.
Let's see, this is Google Earth, so we should have a measuring tool.
There we go. Awesome.
So where are you saying, like tree to tree?
Yeah. Is there? To be fair, the tree you're touching at the bottom is not full size either.
No, it's not. But those, I believe, were those ones crab apples too? Where?
Change the link.
It's 53 feet.
So it's not roomy.
Nope. So they would end up with, like you said, a full shady grove at full size. They would all be touching in, what did you say, 90 years? 30 years.
It's a dream that's really hard to accomplish in Utah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
My Thanksgiving Point is that I face that all the time, and they can't. It's not. It doesn't happen well. There's just the resources are limited.
Yep.
It's hard. It's water and. But I like the thought. I like that a lot. That would be a great place. I don't know if we can do a 75-foot spread though, if there's only 50.
We could
I
do
don't think it'll get, I mean, how often in Utah do we ever get
full size.
those full-size trees? I think, again, in 30 years, we'll probably be lucky if we're getting it 60-foot or a 50-foot spread.
Okay, so my next question to you is, the ones on that path side, the
Mhm.
small ones there,
These ones?
what are those?
Crab apples.
Okay, so they're not gonna get big.
They're not gonna get huge.
So I was just looking at the different varieties or the cultivars, the prospector, the frontier is supposed to be only 30 feet. It's like a smaller cultivar, but probably too small.
Yeah, that's probably too small.
Maybe the prospector.
I pulled them up too, and I just don't know enough of, they're all new cultivars I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not helpful on that.
I think Janet would
She
know
might know.
immediately. Yeah. I think that works personally. That's great.
If it doesn't, I guess we won't be here for it. When it's a
Yeah.
problem.
So that's all set, planned.
Yep.
You guys order the tree, or is it already ordered?
So, at Twin Pines, he said it would be harder to get the frontier that we had asked for before. So I said maybe try to substitute it with a variety of American elm, and we can use one of those to plant out there.
Okay. So, and he hasn't
So-
told you what he has
Nope.
yet?
I'm gonna call him back today and see where he stands on any of that, and how many of them I can go pick up today and start getting ready, but it is in the works.
Okay.
Is that something with the, that you're planning more than just one? Is that?
I think it was just one.
I think, yeah, there's only room for one there, but we are gonna plant more of them around the city, cause in that order, it was like 10 of each type of tree.
Oh, this
So I
is the
should be
Twin
getting,
Pines order.
yes, so we should be getting 10 American elms, 10 Zelkova, give or take, cause the price changed a little bit from when we got the quote, so maybe it'll be 9 of each tree or something like that, but,
And do you have places already identified for all of those, or?
most of them.
Is it Draper Park or what do you guys
Some
think?
at Draper Park, some at the, like we were talking about the splash pad, but if we wanna switch and use the
The donor
money for the splash pad, then I mean, there's some of the smaller ones along Carlquist, like the Zelkova, I think along Carlquist where a lot of those trees have passed on. Yeah, so all of the trees on that order are great in PI water, so I'm thinking PI water spots for those, cause we can get most stuff to grow in our culinary water, it's the ones with PI that are a struggle.
Yeah, okay. Alright. And Arbor Day celebration is Friday the 24th
Yes.
at 11. Got it on the calendar.
24th of
Oh.
April?
Yes.
Okay.
What time is that?
11 a.m.
All right, I think we're in the meeting on that action, that item, so good discussion, good way to approach the meeting, so, good one.
You want a motion to end the meeting?
Yes.
A motion to end.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, appreciate it.
Thank you.